Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Darksiders with me, the Doctor. In the last episode, we flew here to the Twilight Cathedral where the Bat Queen Tiamat has gone to roost. And this episode we'll be proceeding inside, and this is our first true dungeon of the game. And as I kind of mentioned last episode, this is for me where the game got really kind of, I like this now. So, fuck these bats, they're being mingy. Things are very different once we're inside dungeons, and I'll kind of go through that as it's relevant. I really thought there was an opening. Oh, there we go. So, the Watcher is drawing our attention to a crystal blade. So, we now have the crystal blade. And this is a kind of recurring mechanic throughout this dungeon. If we go to the end here, you'll see one of these statues is holding a crystal sword. The other one isn't. Let's give her a statue. And doing so unlocks the door. And we get the little, definitely not Zelda sound effects. Well, there's our target, the Bat Queen Tiamat, very much engaged in a fight with... Ooh, that's cool. Very lavery. With our angelic mount from last episode. And this is one of the things the game does quite a lot in dungeons. It draws attention to things of interest. This is some kind of nasty vine tentacle creature holding up a statue. That is our kind of long-term goal for this... Oh, bloody thing. For this... what's it called? Dungeon, for now, will be to do something with that. But there's not a great deal we can do about it at the moment, so I'm just going to quickly kill these bats. So you can kill them in one, they really are giving me a lot of grief, aren't they? Come on, there we go. Now, if you look on the map, you'll see there are green and red marks. Green mark indicates a door that you can go through, red is one that's locked, and indeed that door over here is locked. There's a woman there awaiting a crystal statue. By woman I mean angel, of course. There's a door up there, and up there, which are both on the balcony and not very accessible to us, so the only door we actually can go through at the moment is here. So, it's a little on the handholdy side here. As you will have noticed, it's specifically drawing our attention to over on the east side of here there is cracked ground, and that's our kind of goal in this room for now. Before we can do that, we have, as you can see, a collection of spooky boys that need to be taken out, so let's do just that. We've got rather good at combat, haven't we? Though this dungeon is where they really do start to test you. So you'll notice a few things that are of interest here. There is a Beholder Keys door there, and everything's opened up, but the only door we can actually get through for now is this one. Through here, we get introduced to one of the major mechanics of the dungeon. Bomb growths. Grab and throw this sticky bomb onto objects and enemies before it detonates. Strike it for an instant explosion. So any of these, like, we technically have seen these already, when we threw a car at one outside the Scalding Gallows and got our first piece of the Bloodforged Abyssal Armour. But indeed, down there on the ground, you can pick them up with B, go into aim mode with the right stick, and press the right trigger to throw them. And these red crystals can be destroyed in that way. Now, this room, there is not a great deal to do, other than there is a chest somewhere. I think it's at the top of the room, so we're all good. The walls and stuff shake a little bit, but it's nothing to worry about unless you jump into the lava like a schmuck. Right, let's try that again. Yeah, you can kind of glide around the side of this one, and then hop backwards over here, and there is a fancy chest. And this contains an item we've not seen before. Well, we've seen it because Vulgrim sells it. A Greater Life Essence, which completely regenerates all of War's health. That's interesting. My notes indicated that that was a Greater Wrath Essence, or Greater Rage, which heals your wrath. And indeed it was when I practiced this. How strange, I guess it must just conform to whatever the game feels you need at that point. Either way, that's... Is that a helicopter outside my room or something? There is a helicopter flying over. That explains the noise. Anyway, yes, so that you can just use at any time once you've got it mapped on there. We've actually got a lesser life essence mapped to Y at the moment, but they'll just heal you. Haven't had to use one yet. Now, you'll notice the game drew our attention to that statue, which we can push, and a cracked bit of ground below. While you're figuring out exactly how that puzzle works, let's open this chest. So, this contains the map, which reveals the entire of the current location. Press back to access the local map. And indeed. So, you can see rooms that have been like kind of lit up in blue, well, kind of bluey grey, rather than grey grey, that wasn't really clear, are rooms we've been to. So you can see there's a fair bit to explore. There's also, well, if we go up one, that's where we'll find Tiamat. If we go down, and down, and down, and down, this is quite a big dungeon, and there's quite a lot of subterranean, crypty stuff in it. And we'll get onto that in due time, don't you worry. For now, let's push this chest. Chest? Statue. So that gives us somewhere to go, but we're not actually going to go there yet. If we proceed around to the right here, we can enter back into this kind of main vestibule area here, which as in, this is where we were at the beginning, except now we're up on the balcony, which allows us to grab a blue chest. There's nothing else we can actually do up here for now, other than fight bats, I guess. So we'll head back to the courtyard and head down that hole we just made. So, now we start to proceed a little bit deeper into the bowels of the place. And as with a lot of Tiamat's lair, there's just lava bubbling around somewhere. So this was clearly once a cathedral, I think the game tells you this. It was actually built by humans, possibly, well, most likely before the End War. It's in this game, it's not made super clear exactly what humans do and don't know about, like, supernatural, spooky stuff. Humans don't feature into this game a great deal until you get much, much later on. And even then, obviously they're gone at this point. Behind us, you will notice, there is a soldier artifact. Very nice, easy one to get there. Oh, there's more skeletons here. This is one of the things I was saying in comparison to Zelda games, is that this one just does throw you a lot more enemies, and combat is a lot more just of a regular occurrence. There we go, let's finish him off. And now, yeah, so you I didn't say any words there at all, did I? Yeah, you just find yourself in fights a lot more often. Here, we can now hit B to go through this door. That chest looks important, doesn't it? And it's guarded, which is super important. I can open it without killing the guards, which is nice, and grab a beholder's key, which is very good. But I'll kill these guys for experience anyway. And then we just need to head back up to the courtyard where the beholder's door was. So, back up here, the obvious thing to do is open that door. God, they really do actually throw you quite a lot of enemies in this, don't they? I need to actually just check how... Oh, damn it. It said B for action, so I assumed I'd nearly killed one of these guys and was ready to do a finishing blow, but it doesn't actually say action if you do it, it just holds up the B button. It's an interesting thing. If you play this with a game pad, like I am, it just says B... it just says B above the head, but... Ooh. But if you're playing with a keyboard and mouse, it's E is the default button, but what oh, you can't really see it from here. You kind of can. You see there's a symbol on War's forehead that kind of looks like an M shape. Oh, bloody turned away, bastard. That symbol is what appears above people. It doesn't actually tell you what letter it is, what like key to press. It just shows you that symbol, which is kind of a bit of a difference if you play with a mouse and keyboard. This looks ominous, doesn't it? Large arena-like area with 2 chests. Well, introducing a new enemy, and these can be a real bastard. This is a crystal demon. Well, crystal giant, actually. As you can see, they have a axe with a huge range on it. They can do a lot of sweeping attacks, and they take a lot of hits. If you haven't, at this point, bought... at this point you haven't bought the Whirlwind combo from Vulgrim, go back and do that, like, now. Because basically, the number of hits you land on there is so good for just breaking its armor off as quickly as possible. Because these guys, you just don't want them hanging around, really. And just, yeah, Whirlwind combo is brilliant for a lot of damage to our armor, short period of time. Once you've done enough, pulverize them with B. Relatively straightforward, just, wow. Put it this way, they're relatively... There we go. They're relatively straightforward when they only throw you one of them at the time. If they throw you multiple of them alongside other enemies, that is where it becomes problematic. Anyway, we can grab the crystal sword from here. As for where it goes, remember when I pointed back in the main vestibule, one of the doors to the side was locked and required a crystal sword. Let's head back to the vestibule. So, once here, slap it into the statue's hands, and it opens the way forward. You'll notice there'll be a few instances of that throughout the dungeon, is seeing, Tiamat fighting with the beast we rode in on. Through that door is the spire up to where we fight Tiamat. We can't get through that at the moment, and I am sure getting through has something to do with this suspicious looking seal on the ground. For now, there's a crystal sword over here, but if we try and grab it... Hey, it's one of those spooky boys from above. Let's burst out from it, and we clearly need to do something about it. What can we do about it? We can destroy it with a bomb plant. That may have missed. That did not miss, wonderful. That doesn't kill it for long, so just quickly run in and grab the sword. And then head back. Oh, right. See, this is what I was talking about. Now is when they throw you a crystal giant and other enemies. I'm going to fire up Stone Skin. So... what the? I said stone skin. There we go. So that makes me take less damage and deal more damage, which is nice for when you're quickly surrounded by a lot of enemies for just making you last a bit longer. You should still obviously focus on... Ooh, I'm weak apparently. You should still focus on actually dodging and stuff like I'm not doing. Oh, I've taken a fair bit of damage, but that's also because I'm not trying particularly hard because I'm using stone skin. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Oh, it's worth noting as well, if you hadn't realised, the crystal swords function exactly like normal swords, so you just use them as you would Chaos Eater. Wow, that's actually not relevant. Chaos Eater has one very specific power over all the other weapons that we haven't actually seen yet because we haven't got that ability, so obviously the crystal charged swords don't have that ability, but neither do we at the moment, so that's not really a concern. Anyway, with that done, everything dispels, so we need to find somewhere to place this sword. And there is, handily, an angel statue right here. And that opens that gate to our right. Before proceeding onwards, there is one brief thing we can do. If we stand here, if you look through that window over there, you can see the very top of a bomb crystal. With a great throw, you can hit it, and kablamo. You can only do it by hitting it through that window, and indeed, that opens up a chest, which contains a lifestone shard. Just in case anyone's wondering as well, you may be able to hear what will sound possibly on the recording. You won't be able to hear them, but they may sound like pops or explosions. I did a very stupid thing. Basically, so, 5th of November, here, was Bonfire Night. And for those who aren't aware... Oh, actually, in those... briefly, Shadow Flight for an artifact. But this is a special artifact. This is a champion artifact. This talisman represents the elite class of the Legion artifacts. Only 6 of these icons were granted to the overlords that commanded Hell's legions. Return it to Vulgrim and he will reward you. So there's only 6 of these. They're found in each of the game's main dungeons. There's only 1 per dungeon. And they are separate to soldier artifacts and worth more if you sell them to Vulgrim. Anyway, that's not what we actually need to do. We need to get up onto the balcony. But yes, so November the 5th is, we call it Bonfire Night or Guy Fawkes Night for those who aren't familiar. And it basically involves bonfires and fireworks to celebrate the fact that an angry, basically Catholic terrorist 400 years ago failed to destroy the Houses of Parliament with gunpowder. And that was 2 days ago, and I was like, I don't want to record during then because there's a lot of fireworks going off. I'll be clever. I'll wait a couple of days. It's now the 7th of November, which I learnt about 20 minutes ago. Wow. Okay, I knew it was around this time anyway, but I kind of remembered. The 7th of November this year is Diwali, which is the Hindu festival of light, and Leicester, where I live, has a huge Indian population. And as such, there's still a crap ton of fireworks going off, so I didn't plan that one particularly well, did I? There's a door through there, but we can't go through it. Well, we can, but there is a... that was an accident. But there is a nasty plant above it, so we'll have to come back there later when we've got something we can do with that. Now, we've kind of hooked back around, and we are once again atop the vestibule. But we are on the other side of it now. And what that means is... You see the thing in the middle? We can now hit it with a bomb plant. Oh dear. I very nearly was where that fell. And with that done, we can head down here. Yeah. So, now we head properly into the bowels of the place. We've done... Is that a demon running away? We've done basically everything we can do in the upper layers for now, so now we need to head properly... Oh, he was running to fetch friends! Also, good lord, that was a ridiculously high combo there. I got like 20, like, instantly. I should use the side a bit more. The side is fun for when you're surrounded. Why? Why? Woohoo! I could just juggle these guys indefinitely. That feels like that's a little bit broken. Oh well, it's fun. Smashy, smashy. And onwards we can proceed. It's a really windy corridor. I mean, you can see that from the map. And this is where the design starts getting really cool and gothic-y looking and fiery and generally a bit nasty. This is something quite special.
What is this place? I have to admit, for a bunch of weaklings, those humans were full of surprises. Who knows what secrets they buried down here?
Well, I thought the Watcher said something specific about it, but he doesn't. So this is a very special chest. If you hit it with Chaos Eater... So, we received the Crossblade, a finely crafted throwing blade that can strike multiple targets. Enter aim mode by pressing the right stick and select up to 5 targets by holding left trigger. Press right trigger to throw the Crossblade. And yes, it functions exactly like the boomerang in a Zelda game. So, we now have a ranged weapon, that means. So, you can either target with the left trigger like this, hold the right trigger to charge up the Crossblade, and let go, and when you let go, it will grind on the enemy until either it runs out of beans or they're dead. These guys take very few hits for it. Equally, we can go into aim mode, tag enemies with the left stick, and then when we hit the right trigger, it bounces between them, but it doesn't do quite as much damage that way. Doing the kind of grinding trick is probably the best one there. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Oh, zombie's good. This is what the grinding looks like if you do it normally. So it can, the longer you charge it up, the longer the grinding lasts, and that was on full charge. So it's very handy for just tying up an enemy, and you can buy upgrades for it from Volgrim, as you can with other stuff, and there's a really handy one that grinds souls out of enemies, which can be really bloody useful. Plagiarism aside, oh, here we go. Introducing Poison Demons. So here, we grind on him, and that dispels the aura of poison around him. You can't hit him while the aura is up without becoming poisoned, which is obviously bad. After a while, the aura will come back up, but if you just keep grinding on him, it will stop that from happening, and when you're ready... But yeah, plagiarism aside, of it just being the boomerang, the Crossblade is really cool and does have a lot of very cool implementations that make it much more interesting than just a standard boomerang. So these are going to become relevant throughout the rest of the dungeon, because this is a switch. And on that point, I think we shall hold it there for now, because that's probably been 20 to 25 minutes, and it's a nice enough point to hold. We've come here to the depths of the Twilight Cathedral. We've gathered the Crossblade. Next episode, we will be exploring further down into the temple. Thank you very much, and good day.